Hello, and welcome to a first look at Demon Bluff. I'm hopping on a little late on this game. You can thank Pun Pun for getting me to play it because he streamed it a few days ago and I watched it and went, oh my god, this looks really fun. So here I am. I played like 4 hours of it last night with a friend who just kind of sat and did the reasoning. It's a really good game. What is this game? It's a roguelike social deduction game basically, where you have a ring of cards that are all saying things and you have to figure out who's lying. I reset my progress so that you're not jumping in here with me and I'm not just throwing you into the deep end. And yeah, this game is really good. It's very fun and I wanted to hop on at least a video or two before it dies down, because this is a demo, this is a playtest. If you want to get into the playtest, I'll have a link in the description. You just go in there and click join playtest and you get in for free. It's not like there's no wait or anything like that. And without any further ado, let's begin. Oh, it's a little loud. Hold on. Sorry. It does silence when I tab out. I just gotta do a little volume adjusting, probably to here. So yeah, I reset my progress so that you're not lost and we can go through things. There's a bunch of characters to unlock. It's still too loud, man. One more lower. Probably like here then. Okay, so it's gonna tutorialize, but you'll pick it up pretty quickly. The biggest part of this game is learning what everything is. So here's our current deck. And if you're playing this game for yourself, you can check the pin deck view to board so that they always show you what you need to know. So there's 4 villagers and 1 minion, and we have to figure out who the minion is. The villagers all do different things, which I'll show you what they do when we see them. And then the minion is going to be in disguise and lying. So we can just flip over a card, and the character will say something. So the confessor here, number 1, says, I am good. And then we can look at their ability. The confessor's ability is, if the confessor is ever evil or corrupted, which we'll learn about later, she would instead say, I am dizzy. She can't lie. So if she says she's good, she's good. If she is dizzy, that means she's corrupted. So easy first one. The hunter says he's 1 card away from the closest evil, and he learns where the closest evil is. The enlightened says the closest evil is counterclockwise. So these two immediately, one of them is lying. The lover says there's no evils adjacent to me. The gemcrafter says number 4 is good. And that's it. This is the game, and then we'll just be getting new cards as we go on. You can stab and kill 1 wrong person. You have 10 HP per round, and then so we can be wrong 1. So I could just take this and be like, oh, I think it's the lover. Boom, -5, but I don't lose. And then there's 4 total hearts, and then you run out of hearts to lose the whole run. So anyway, I just did this as an example. I knew the lover wasn't evil. Sorry, lover. But there's a marking system, so we can mark these 2 as good for sure. And we can do that because we know there's a contradiction in the hunter and the enlightened, right? Because this guy's saying he's one target away from the closest evil, so he's saying it's either the confessor or the enlightened, and the enlightened is saying that the closest evil is counterclockwise, which would mean that the enlightened is saying it's hunter. Or confessor, right? But no, actually the enlightened is saying it's hunter on this, because the enlightened would say equidistant if the evils were in the same distance, but obviously you can never say that. So the enlightened is basically saying it's either confessor or hunter here, and so because we know the gemcrafter is saying, oh wait, I think I did actually by stabbing. Oh no, the lover is saying there's no evils adjacent to me, which means the hunter is lying. There you go. That's the game. I'm gonna fuck with the settings a little bit. I think I need to turn the sound effects down. That's probably good enough. All right, and then every round we're going to unlock new characters. We get the medium, learn a good character and its role, and the judge, pick 1 character and learn if they're lying. Now, remember, anyone here could lie, except for the confessor. The confessor's always lying. Can you say this? I've never seen a gemcrafter say, I'm good. Okay, well... Right. No, I've never seen this before. So I think what happened here is the gemcrafter is evil, and the gemcrafter has to lie, but the gemcrafter will always say someone is good. They'll never say someone is bad. So the only person the gemcrafter could point at is herself here. That's what happened. When the gemcrafter is evil, it's really funny because the gemcrafter being evil means they just point at someone who is evil and say they're good. And as soon as you learn that they're evil, then they're just pointing who the other evil is. Okay, now we unlock Wretch and Empress. Wretch is an outcast, which is a new class. So there are 3 classes. Well, there's actually 4 classes. There's outcast, villager, demon, and minion. So The main thing here is that minions can be anyone, but demons cannot be outcasts. Which all of this may sound like nothing, but here's the wretch. The wretch is like you're gonna get fucked up by the wretch. I've been got by the wretch multiple times, even though I know that the wretch is tricky. The wretch always registers as a random evil minion to other characters, and it can be any evil minion. I've been very gotten by that. There's the wretch. Okay, so, closest evil is counterclockwise. Well, first of all, I like to go through this step by step, right? We know these two are good, and we know it can't be the wretch. And we know it can't be the wretch because there are 7 cards, right? What's the duplicate? Is there not a duplicate? Hold on. Who's missing? Gemcrafter medium. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 8 cards. Okay, so there is just, we just didn't get a duplicate. Because there can only be 1 of each. That's the other thing. Except for certain circumstances. Now I feel like the game is too quiet. I'm gonna be fucking with sound settings for a little bit. I just want the music up a little. I think that's probably about right. Okay, but we know the wretch can't be evil here because there basically would just be no way to figure it out. It is probably almost certainly the medium, right? Because number 3 is good, number 3 is good, that's safe. This is counterclockwise for closest evil. This is 1 evil adjacent to me. So if this judge were evil, if that was what the lover was pointing at, then the enlightened would be saying the closest evil is equidistant because it would be one of these two. So we know it can't be the judge, so we can just use the judge to figure out who it is. Does that make sense? I'm going to try to explain slowly, but I think sometimes the logic is a little tough. It is a hard one to learn. But I'll say it again slower just in case you don't quite get it. Enlightened has to be saying it's either medium or lover is closest evil is counterclockwise, right? If it was the judge, then the enlightened would be saying the closest evil is equidistant because the wretch is considered evil. So it would be equidistant here because if this is the guy who's evil, then there would be 2, and the enlightened has to be telling the truth. Right? So we know this guy's clear, so we can use him to see if the lover is saying the truth, and he says the lover is saying the truth, which means that it is, in fact, the medium. Nice. Very good. Don't worry if it seems super easy right now. I am playing this at like the lowest of the low difficulties here. So now there's 2 minions, and this is where you get into 2 lies. Number 1 is a real judge. 1 is evil, 2, 5, or 8. This is the new one, by the way. Right click, if you're going to pick this game up for yourself, right click and check every card because some of them have really important information. The Empress's lie, if she's lying, is all 3 of these are good. She can't be lying and say like 2 are evil. Very, very important to know. No evils are adjacent to me. 1 is a real judge. 3 away from the closest evil. That's probably true. 5 is good. Okay. So 2, 5, or 8. 1 of these is evil. It is my first guess here, just looking at the way the board lays out, and this is like surface level, I haven't done any deeper diving. This is probably 1 and 2. And this is what you can get into this spot where these 2 will cover for each other, basically. So why is it probably 1 and 2? Well, Hunter's saying he's 3 away from the closest evil. If this is a lie, so it's hypothetical, right? This guy's lying. I'll give him red for lying. And this is just a hypothetical. If he's lying, that means he's evil. If he's evil, you're evil. If you're evil, right? And that's 3 lies. So now we're over the cap. So that you can use this logic to then go, this must be true, this must be true, this must be true. If this must be true, you must be evil. If you're evil, you're lying. Make sense? And then it all works out. This would be good, and the wretch is chilling. And then we can verify this because this Jester ability is an on-use ability. So I get to choose this. I didn't point it out, but these are like specifically you use them rather than they go when they're revealed. So if this is all true, then I use the Jester and I pick 3 characters to learn how many are evil. I go these 3, and he goes there are 0 evils, which lines up with what we're saying. And then just to be 100% certain, since we think this guy's lying, he says pick a character, learn if they're lying. I could pick you. Yeah, so it's guaranteed these 2. Not bad. Not bad. Welcome to the new nightmare. Bombardier. If you kill this guy, you just lose. Always scary, because if there's a fake Bombardier, then sometimes you just get caught. 1 evil adjacent to me. Oh yeah, and then the knight can't die. The knight has special information on them, though. Oh my god, there's a fake Bombardier. Eek. Okay, the Confessor is evil, guaranteed, because they're dizzy. Here's the nice special ability. I can't die. However, if you kill her while she's corrupted, you take extra damage. We haven't gotten to corruption yet, but in the early game, if there's no source of corruption, you can just click a stab on the knight for free because they can't die. So this has to be... So the Confessor is one of the evils, right? Because corrupted. I am dizzy. Which means that there's one lie, and it has to be one of these two bombardiers. So we just go look at... what do you think? So we'll mark everyone. Oh, it's 2, 4, or 8. 2, 4, or 8. Okay, and one evil's adjacent to me. These have to be true, so it's you. Scary, though, for sure. Ah, the witch. So the witch is the character who brings in... Now we have to pay attention to the way we reveal cards, because the last card cannot be revealed. And the scout tells us how far a specific evil is from another evil. Which might not make a lot of sense, but you'll see. There's a wretch and a bombardier. Wild. One is evil, 7, 8, or 6. Okay. 4 is a real enlightened. Okay, so let's stab knight immediately. Because we know there's no way for knight to be killed right now. 4 is a real enlightened. And so 1, 2, or 7, 7, 8, or 6. Let's flip this one. Closest evil is equidistant. Okay, can this be true? So what the Enlightened is saying here is that 3 and 5 are both evil. Because he's saying equidistant, so he's pointing wretch, because remember, this is an evil minion. And then he's pointing here. So if this were true, 1 is evil, 1, 2, or 7. 1 is evil, 7, 8, or 6. Okay, so assume this is true. First of all, we know the wretch is not evil. If we assume this is true, 7, 8, or 6 would be... Well, okay, if we assume this is true, the medium has to be right. And we know the knight's cleared, so the lover would be true. Which would mean, A, this is one of the evils. 1, 7, or 2, 1 is evil. And then if you're lying, it would all be good. 7 or 2. This would be a lie. Or no. This would be true. You would be evil. Actually, maybe correct. Is there anything wrong with this logic? I don't think so. I'm going to stab this Empress. Okay, and then we can reveal this, and it's Bombardier. And all information points to you are evil. That's terrifying, man. That's so scary. Because there's a fake Bombardier, and there's not a second one, so oh my god. What a nightmare. Alright, but very nice. You get the flow of it. Now, Ba's our first demon, which I will point out what he does. Pun Pun actually told me about this. I did not pick up on the mechanics here. This is a little hidden. So again, I gotta shout him out. I've been asking him a bunch of questions. He's been teaching me this game so I don't look like a total fool. But Ba is a demon. Demons cannot be outcasts, and they cannot be duplicates. So these minions can be anyone, and they have a 60% chance to actually copy a villager or outcast in the town. So they're more likely to be a duplicate of some kind. This guy, he cannot be a duplicate. He'll always be a unique. Which basically means he's going to replace one of the people in the deck, as far as I understand. Because there's 9 in the deck here, so he's going to be one of these people, basically. Okay, let's get to it. Wretch. Medium says number 5 is a real scout. Twin minion is 1 card away from closest evil, so this guy is saying that the twin minion is 1 away from another evil. Ba is 2 cards away from closest evil. Okay, so one of you two is the twin minion. We know, or no, one of you is twin minion because Ba would be unique. Jester, lover, gemcrafter, judge. Okay, where can we go? So we know one of these two immediately, right? And we know Wretch is good. Because Wretch, we know the twin minion is one of you two, so we know Wretch can't be the minion, and then the Ba is a demon, right? Sorry, I'm gonna fuck with the settings again. I just can't hear the music at all. And done. Okay. So we know this, it's one of you two for the twin minion, and we know the Wretch is good. So, where's that put us? Well, since we know it's one of you two, we know Gemcrafter has to be telling the truth, because if Gemcrafter were lying, then the medium would be evil, right? Which would be three evils. So we know this is good, we know this is good, which means we know you're good, which means we know you're bad, you're good, and you're bad, I think? Oh wait, it could be the judge, sorry. So the last one is either the judge or the jester. So let's just take the judge and see if he's... Okay, so you're probably good, which would mean that the jester is lying, and I say, show me... Because I know it's you, you, you. There are 0 evils, but I pointed at Wretch, guaranteed lying. Alright, makes sense? Again, I want to reiterate these because I think that I understand this, but it does take a little bit to get it. So I'll go through the logic for you one more time, just in case you're not following. Alright? So we know with a duplicate, one of these two must be twin minion, right? That's number 1. And since we know the demon can't be the wretch, we know the wretch is safe. That's number 2. Actually, also true. We don't even need to know that. The wretch cannot be disguised as, period. No enemy can be the wretch. I should actually remember that. So since we know it's one of you two, and like one of you two for sure, if Gemcrafter is pointing at someone, the person Gemcrafter is pointing at has to be evil if Gemcrafter is evil. So if you were to do this, then the board would have to look like this, which would be impossible, right? Because you have 2 scouts. So we end up here. I hope that made sense. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention Ba's other ability. In the deck view, he shows a fake, so he showed us a fake Bombardier. It doesn't really do anything now, but it does actually come into play later. Okay, new characters. We get the Slayer and the Knitter. Pick one character. If evil picked, execute it, and then the Knitter learns how many evils are adjacent to each other. So the Knitter will tell us how many pairs there are. And that's the end of Ascension 1. I think there's basically... I don't know how high it goes. I played, like, Ascension 4... but I think around the end of Ascension 3 is where you stop unlocking new cards. Okay, we got a Witch, so we got to be careful of the order we reveal. So there's no corruption, so I can just stab the Knight immediately. Bombardier, Hunter, one away from closest evil. True. This is just true, right? Because we know the Wretch is good, so we know this is true. Now, that doesn't mean the Bombardier is cleared, because if both of these are evil, the Bombardier could be evil. Judge. Okay, so we can just check the Judge, and he'll saying truth. Oh, okay. So now I'm just in a 50-50. But this is a guaranteed position, because I don't know who this is, but this is most likely Witch, but the Witch could be the Bombardier here. So we kill here first. It was Lover. The Witch is the Bombardier. If I had revealed Lover first, I would have been able to suss out that this was Witch, but you just kill here because this is a guaranteed victory, basically, because I have the HP. Okay, now we get into Corrupted. This is where the game really blossoms into something extremely complicated in my eyes. Poisoner, game start, one adjacent villager is corrupted. Corrupted characters lie, but they're still good. So now it increases, but he doesn't always corrupt someone, because if he's adjacent to like an evil and an outcast, he won't corrupt anyone. And then the bard learns how far they are from the closest corrupted character. So here we have a poisoner and we have a Ba. So the way that I'll think about this is there are going to be 3 lies in this board, most likely. Let's see how true that seems. Oh, here's a lie. But now the big thing is you can't immediately stab Confessor because she could be just lying and dizzy. But we know that this is true. For sure. We are 100% sure that Hunter's statement is true because he's next to Wretch, which means that he can't be evil and he can't be corrupted. I'm one away from the corrupted character. The most likely circumstance here, just off the rip, is Jester is corrupted and this... Or Jester is poisoner and this is corrupted, or vice versa. Oh, but hey, this is... Oh, no. This isn't necessarily a lie, but it could be a lie. One away from corrupted character. So I think the first thing to do here is use Jester's ability and copy Empress and see if they say the same thing. Because Empress says 1 is evil of 1, 5, and 7. So I could do this. There are 0 evil. So there's a conflict here, which I think gives us the information we need to know. So one of you two is lying. And you're lying for sure. We can actually mark this as a guaranteed lie, and we know the Wretch is fine. Yeah, because the Wretch can't be disguised as, of course. Gotta remember, can't be disguised as the Wretch. So we know this is a lie. And we know, let's see, 1, 5, or 7, there is 1 evil. It's very likely this guy's evil, this is true, this is true, this is evil. I think this is one lineup, and then the Confessor's Dizzy. But no, this would be corrupted. This would be evil. I think this is a likely circumstance, but I'm gonna actually advance my logic here a little bit. So we know this is true for sure, and we know this is a lie for sure, and we know you're safe. Those are the things we know guaranteed. So now we know one of these is a lie. For sure, one of these two things has to be a lie because they're saying different things. So, but they're not both lies, I don't think. Right. So if you're lying, all three of these characters are good. If you're lying, then Empress is telling the truth. One evil between 1, 5, and 7. So now what I think we do is we go through this and we try to figure out who... So we basically brute force this and we begin doing like logic puzzles effectively here. And so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to make assumptions based on what we think is least likely and follow the line. So what do I think is least likely? I think the least likely thing here is medium is evil. Because if medium is evil, then they're lying, right? Then the confessor is evil, and this guy's corrupted. Those would be our three lies. However, this can't be true because then Empress would be lying. Because if you follow this line through, then at the end of the line here, Empress is saying 1, 5, or 7, 1 is evil, but your board would look like this. Right? And that's basically, this is 4 lies when there's only 3. All right? All right. So with this logic, we can assume that the confessor is then telling the truth, which would mean that this is true, which would mean that what would that mean? Hold on. Or sorry, not that this is true. That would mean this is corrupted. That would mean this is false. You would be evil, you would be good, you would be evil. I believe that's how you find this one. Whoa, really? Damn, I got. I was pretty sure of that too. All right, well, my first major error. So what does that mean? That means you're corrupt? No, that means one of you is corrupted. That means you have to be poisoner. You're Ba? Okay, well, I don't know. Oh, so then you're poisoner, and this is wrong. And then you, and you are good. You're corrupted. You're evil. I didn't see that. Damn. Got me. Yeah, I got mixed up there for sure. See, it gets hard when you get even a little bit of poisoning in. Corruption makes this a lot more difficult. I won't be caught again. Pick 2 characters, learn if any of them is evil, learn that 1 out of 2 characters is a specific minion role. Is what we have today. Doing twin minion boss, so there's no poisoning here, and there's no witch, so I can just open everything up. Okay. Probably Bombardier is good. It would be shocking, but not impossible for him to be evil. 1 evil is adjacent to me, closest evil is counterclockwise. 1, 8, or 5 is evil. 1, 8, or 5. I don't have any information about this. I want to do judge, lover, lying. Okay. So, what would that mean? If 7 is lying, and he's telling the truth, so if he's true and you're lying, then both of you are safe. Okay, so we can immediately test this hypothesis because Slayer, if you pick a character and they're evil, he executes it. If he's lying, he can't kill his target. So we can test this theory immediately. And this theory is true. Good job, Judge. Slayer kills Ba, which means these two are both cleared because he was lying, saying 1 evil was adjacent to me, which means what he was saying is 0 evils are adjacent to me because the only other lie would be 2 evils are adjacent, but that's impossible. So, where does that leave us? We have to figure out who else is evil. Well, since we know 3 people guaranteed, we could just do this. There are 3 evils? Come on, brother. There's not even 3 evils in the deck. You are very bad at this. Okay. Alchemist is my least favorite character in this game. I hate him so much. He's my greatest enemy. Mostly because I don't fully understand how he works. If someone wants to write me a paragraph on how this alchemist character actually plays, please feel free. I would be very much inclined to read this, okay? All right. So we have Plague Doctor. On the game start, you'll corrupt one random villager. If you pick the character who's corrupted, you get to learn who is an evil character. The alchemist, villagers to his left and right at a range of 2 are cured from corruption, and he says how many he cured. So this one's Plague Doctor Poisoner here. There's Plague Doctor. And it's Witch, so we have to be careful who we finish with. 3 away from closest evil, so you're saying 6 or 8? Okay. 1 away from corrupted character. Closest evil is equidistant. Okay. So here's what I want to start with. I want to start with using the judge on the confessor. And this is true. So the judge is now cleared immediately. And the reason this is true is because the confessor never lies. The confessor always tells the truth. She says, I am dizzy here. I like to do this just to make sure the judge is not corrupted or evil, because it gives us information about the hunter. So, what next? The next thing to do here, actually, so closest evil is equidistant. This is conflicting with hunter's information, right? If you're saying closest evil is equidistant, then the hunter would be lighting up the bard or the jester. That's the first thing you can say here. Now, what does that mean? That means one of you two is lying. And my hypothesis here is... So I think there's 2 ways that this plays. If you're the poisoner, you poison the confessor. And then the hunter is lying, right? Because, follow me here. Poisoned, corrupted, lying, right? Because there's only... Oh no, there's 2 corruptions. There's 4 lies. I almost fell for it. But if this is if you're corrupted or evil, let's say evil, then you would be corrupted. No. So you would have to be corrupted. You would have to be evil in this case. I think this is impossible, right? Because closest evil is equidistant. This character would be corrupted. You would be the poisoner. This character would be witch. And then you would be poisoned by Plague Doctor. No, this is possible. This is possible. Okay, so what we should do then is we should use Plague Doctor's ability on Confessor. 7 is evil, 6 is corrupted. Okay. Is that true? That can be true. That can be true. It's possible this is true. 7 is evil, 6 is corrupted. Okay, so what we should do to check this is we should check 6, 7, 8, and Jester should say 1 evil. There's 1 evil. Okay, this is now for sure true. The reason you have to be careful is because Plague Doctor can be disguised as, and if Plague Doctor is disguised as, they'll just fucking stab someone. And they'll just say, like, kill this person. Okay, so you're evil, you're corrupted, which means you're evil. And then you're the other corrupted. This is Poisoner, you're corrupted by Poisoner, this is corrupted by Plague Doctor, and then this is Witch. What? Oh, this could have been either way. Yeah. This could have been either way. That's true. He's corrupted, and then you're evil. Sorry, Hunter. That's my fault. I jumped the gun a little bit. Sorry, man. It's my bad. Okay. Counselor, at the game start, 1 villager becomes an outcast and he sits next to it. Doppelganger, at the game start, he disguises as a good villager in play. So now there can be 2 of a character and they can both be good. But now also we can search for the counselor who has to be next to a minion. This is where Ba comes in because now there's 3 yellows in the pool. If there's a doppelganger, you can get kind of fucked up with this. Gemcrafter, what are you doing? Immediate lie. Instant lie. And so we can check Judge here. Lying. That's true. Good job, Judge. And if that's true, this is true. We can start there. Closest evil is counterclockwise. Probably true, but we'll wait. 2 fortune tellers, but no doppelganger, so 1 of you is evil for sure. So what we can begin with here... Oh, one more thing. We know that Counselor has to be adjacent to an outcast, which means he's either Enlightened or Fortune Teller here. He's one of these 2. So what we can do here, since we know the medium is cleared, is we can go check these two. Is 9 or 8 evil? False. That is for sure a lie. And then we can check these two again. Is 9 or 8 evil? False. Okay, so both of these are lies, which means one of you is corrupted and one of you is evil. And then the other evil is Gemcrafter, I believe. Let me make sure that, let me run through that logic one more time. This is true now, almost certainly, because we know you're good, so you're pointing at Wretch guaranteed. So this is for sure true. You're cleared. So here's how this works. If this is true, you have to be Counselor because Counselor has to be sitting next to the Wretch. Okay, start there. Secondly, either Gemcrafter or Fortune Teller is evil. Jester is just cleared by default, so we can use Plague Doctor. 6 is evil, 7 is corrupted. Cool. So Plague Doctor hit Gemcrafter. You're bah. Very nice. I'll stop at the end of this ascension, and I will leave it here. If you guys like this video, I will do some more of this game. It's really fun to reason out, I think. And I'll probably do a stream of this tonight, so you can come hang out for that if you want to. Anyway, Drunk. I disguise as a random villager not in play. I am corrupted and I lie. I cannot be cured. And then Druid, pick 3 characters, learn 1 random outcast among them. Druid is for checking if you have a doppelganger or a drunk, basically. A lot of times what'll happen, because it happened to me the first time, and it happened when I was playing this with my friend and teaching him the game. What happened is we got Druid and then there was no one, and we were both like, or both times I was like, what is the point of this character? What are you doing? Okay, so this is the only thing I don't know for sure. This is tech that I got from Punpun. Hot tip. If Alchemist says he cured 0 corruptions, he's always telling the truth. I don't know why. I don't understand this point, but this is what I've been told. And so far, it has been true every time, which means that he cured 0 corruptions, which means that all of these are fine. What if he's poisoned? I don't know. Anyway, don't sweat it too much. It's just, this is one where you can explain this to me if there's logic behind it. It might just be a game mechanic. I don't know. Okay, so Enlightened is saying equidistant. So Enlightened is saying Empress Plague Doc. Oh, wait. Hey, look at this. Ba adds 1 fake outcast into the deck view. But there's 2 outcasts here. One of you is an impersonation for sure. What do you know? That's interesting. One of you has to be evil. Cool, so we can do one of you 2 for sure. One is evil, 2, 5, or 9. 1 away from a corrupted character. Evils are not adjacent to each other. So I think the first thing that strikes me here is, if this is true, you're corrupted, you're evil, you're good. Because we know one of these 2 has to be good. If this is true, you're corrupted, you're evil. But this can't be true, because if you're 1 away from a corrupted character, I think Plague Doctor cannot be corrupted, and this is another information point. Poisoner only corrupts villagers, so he will not corrupt outcasts, right? So this can't be true, because if this were true, Alchemist would have cured this corruption. Unless, and this is where I don't fully understand how Alchemist works, unless this is true... No, this just can't be true, because this character would not be corrupted ever. So this is a lie. Because, as far as I understand with Alchemist, because he says he cured 0 corruptions, if this character were corrupted, he would have been cured, Bard would not be looking at this. Not true. Not true. I understand it. No, never mind. There's no drunk. I was going to say, this could be the drunk. There is no drunk. I get you. Okay. So if I'm following through the line, I do Fortune Teller on these 2. Is 2 or 7 evil? True. This is a lie. And I think you can't be corrupted, so I just stab you? Yeah. Because you can't be corrupted because you're next to Alchemist, which means you're lying, which means that I could just stab you for free. That one's okay. So 1 is evil, 2, 5, or 9. And 1 away from a corrupted character. I almost want to check if Plague Doctor is evil by just going like this. Yeah, Plague Doctor is evil. Number 8 is evil, number 7 is corrupted. And we know Confessor is not corrupted, so we kill you, and that's Poisoner. And then you're corrupted. Poisoner as Plague Doctor is crazy, by the way, because you could hit the correct person and then they would lie to you. That is a fucked up lineup. That's actually ridiculous. Okay, two things left. Closest evils is equidistant. That would be pointing at 1 and 6 here, effectively. So you're saying, so Enlightened is saying you're evil. You're corrupted. We know this is a lie, but we know you're not evil. So I'm just going to mark you as red. Because Poisoner had to corrupt here. So what does that leave me? Thinking about it. I'm almost there. 259. Oh, this is just a lie. Right? Because Bombardier is for sure good, and this is good. And that would make this true, this a lie, and this true. Yeah, okay. Cool. That's crazy, man. Poisoner hidden as Plague Doctor? What the hell? That's fucked up. Here's Puka. Puka is a monster. Game start, villagers adjacent to me are corrupted. This is where it scales up. So now if we count lies, potentially 3, 4, 5 people on this board are lying. Puka's 1 card away from closest evil. There's 1 pair of evils. 3 away. Slayer, Jester, second Knitter. So you're definitely one of you 2 evil. 9 is good. This is true. This has to be true, right? Not necessarily. We can't flip this because it's witch. Okay, well we know one of you 2 is evil for sure. That's where we can start. 9 is good. Puka's 1 card away from closest evil. They could be Plague Doctor, is the thing. We don't know who 8 is. 8 could be the real Plague Doctor. Because there's 9 cards here. And no duplicates. So you could be fake and this could be the real Plague Doctor. Oh, but if you're evil, and then we have 2 knitters. So you're cleared. Got it. That's good to know. So then there's only 1 pair of evils. These 2 are saying the same thing, which means that since one of them has to be evil, these have to both be lies, which means one of you is corrupted and one of you is evil. That's where we can go next. We could 50-50 this. But I don't know. So if Hunter's statement is true, you would be evil and you would be evil? Because he's saying he's 3 cards away from the closest evil, right? If that's the case, then Puka would be on one of these 2 spots and this would be a lie, right? Makes sense? Because Puka corrupts the 2 adjacent to her, which means that this is a lie. Which doesn't necessarily mean anything for these 2, but it does mean this is a lie. And so, since we know this is a lie, we can use Plague Doctor on him, and we always learn 1 evil. Okay, we can flip this over. It's medium. So why is that like that? Since we let me think about this. We know this is a lie, and we know one of you 2 is evil, right? If this is a lie and he's not corrupted, that means he's evil. So you can just see what he says, right? And if he is corrupted, then since we cleared Plague Doctor will just point an evil out to us and we can kill whoever Plague Doctor points at. That's why that works out. And so, because he's saying he's 3 away from the closest evil, medium is immediately cleared because this is a lie. And if medium were the other evil, then he would be looking at witch as the closest evil, and that would be the truth. So this is now exhausted for information. This is a lie, I believe. Oh, we can just check Jester, I guess, right? Because if Jester is lying, and he's not, so Jester's cleared, which means this is a lie. Puka's one card away, which means you're saying Puka's adjacent. So this is a lie, which means the knitter on number 2 has to be Puka. And the Slayer is then cleared. Cool. Very cool. Alright. I'm going to stop it here. I think this is my stopping point for this video. 40 minutes. I do just want to play more. This game is so good, man. This game is so good. Hey, one important thing I didn't notice, by the way, the medium was corrupted. I guess I didn't actually verify if the medium was selling a truth or lie. I didn't even look at the medium's information. I just looked at if they were evil or not. Anyway, let's do Ascensions. I think the game gets pretty complicated from here as we get into these characters. So if you guys like this, I will probably just do... I'll do like 1 Ascension per video. And yeah, really fun. Really fun. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a like. Let me know. I do thrive off of people saying, hey, I like these videos. Please do more of them. So it inject that shit straight into my veins. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.